I'm sure all of you have heard the phrase looking for a needle in the haystack, and I'm equally sure that you'll agree it's a pretty difficult task to accomplish. Well, we're going to make it even more difficult. We're going to stack the odds in favor of that nasty little needle. We're going to take it out of the barnyard and throw it somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean. Then grab a handful of tiny little islands and keys, I'll say about 700 or so, and throw them into the mix. Stir it all up and let it settle for a couple of thousand years, give or take 100 or so. And then we're going to find the needle. Well, in a roundabout way, that's the topic for today's program. Hi everybody, I'm Angelo. Welcome to this week's Outdoor Journal. Now, if you haven't quite figured out where we're coming to you from, here's a couple of more clues. If you go a couple 100 miles that way, you're going to run into the peninsula of Florida. And if you travel a few 100 miles that way, you're going to be on the island of Haiti. Now, I'm going to let you think about it for a couple of minutes. I'll just time you here. By the way, what do you think of my new timepiece I bought this morning? It is a beauty. The best part, I only paid 85 Bahamian dollars for it. I just let the cat out of the bag. Well, welcome to the Bahamas. In particular, welcome to Nassau. It's going to be headquarters for our find today, if you will. We're in search of the legendary Lost Blue Hole, and as its name implies, it's a lost hole somewhere off the northeast corner of New Providence Island. Now, although there's many blue holes in this area, this one's certainly the most interesting, if not the largest. It's situated about 40 feet below the ocean surface. It's 100 feet across in diameter and over 300 feet deep. Now, legend has it that if you go halfway down, there's a tiny little perch down there called Neptune's Ledge. And if you can situate yourself just so on it and look over the edge, you'll see the most magnificent sight that God has ever created. And if you're lucky, they tell me you'll even see Neptune's palace itself. But unfortunately, first we got to find it. So let's go in search of the Lost Blue Hole, shall we? Oh man, this is going to be tough. Not that a hole over 100 feet wide is so hard to find. It's just that there's so many distractions here. Towering hotels and beaches and more beaches. Just acres of sand with more distractions. Enough for this Bahamian dilly-dallying. It's time to ask the people who live here if they've seen the Lost Blue Hole. Oh no, more distractions. I could take a carriage ride, just wander around the streets, or rent a moped. Let's see, I could continue my quest, or like they say, when the going gets tough, the tough go shopping. Hello, I'm looking for the Lost Blue Hole. You know where that is? No? You can't help me then. Pleasure to meet you. I'm Angelo.
I'm Frank.
Frank.
Yeah.
Pleasure to meet you.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about this blue hole, Frank?
I read about it.
What can you tell me about it?
You know, it's nice if you go down, and watch the fish.
Well, I'm going to be diving in it.
Yeah, you go in and you can meet yours.
Go get him. Thanks, Frank.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you later. Wonder if they know where it is. How you doing, guys? Sir, how are you today?
Fine, you, man.
Good.
Yeah.
I wonder if you can help me out. I'm looking for the Lost Blue Hole. It's called the Lost Blue Hole, and they tell me it's somewhere just north of Paradise Island here.
Well, the blue hole it's down by the key up there. The key name.
Is it on? It's not on.
It's not on the bottom. It's on the other key.
So it's not on this island at all. It's on another key.
It's on the other key. Yeah.
And it's the Lost Blue Hole.
Blue, yeah.
The big one.
Big blue where you go dive in here.
Out in the ocean, you dive down through. So it's not here at all.
No, it's not. It's only not. But it's out the bit.
Oh. So it's the other direction. Okay. What do you got here?
Well, these some conchs here, you know.
What do you do with them?
Well, we knock them out, make salad. You can cook them or make conch chowder.
You eat them?
Eat them just together, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. You can take them out and you squeeze the lime on it.
What do they look like? Have you got
one? Show you one right now.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Show you one, man. No problem.
And this is called a conch.
This is the conch. This is how we take it out. I attach it from the shell. Attach to the shell. Get the baby go right here.
Woo, baby.
Right.
Man. Woo. You're not gonna eat it. Oh no.
I give it a stone, man.
Is that what it does?
Yeah.
What was that called again, that piece?
Conch thistle.
Conch thistle, oh.
That's a sex organ bite.
Now this is a local delicacy here. I mean, it's not, well, I shouldn't say delicacy because it's a main staple in the diet, isn't it? Everybody eats it. This is a type of shell that you see for sale on the beaches, and you use them for decoration. But what's inside is called a conch, and that's what the man showed. And then what do you do with it?
You put lime on it, pepper on it.
You eat it, right?
You eat it raw?
Yeah, you want to eat a piece of it? I'm going to cut it so you can eat a piece of it.
You eat it raw?
Yeah.
You're going to eat it.
I'm going to eat it.
Yeah, but you can eat it, yes.
You got to eat it, man. You ain't been to the Bahamas.
I guess I'm going to eat it.
Yeah.
I got to tell you.
You also. No artificial.
I'm in Bahamas. Do the conch.
You can't find that everywhere now.
No, it's just.
Way up here somewhere. Yeah.
You talking about down in my, what you call it, by Rose Island. Down Rose Island. They got a blue hole down by Rose Island.
Now,
They got
Rose-
one Clifton Pier, and they got about 6 in Exuma. 6 in Exuma. 6. I tell you another thing. If you want to talk about the last blue hole, I guarantee it's got to be around Bimini. Bimini.
So
Now,
I've been to, so I got to go to Bimini.
Bimini.
Do you know where the blue hole is? Okay. It's got to be here somewhere. Oh, hi, officer. How are you?
How do you do, man?
I'm with the Outdoor Journal, a television program, and I'm down here trying to find the lost blue hole.
I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
What you could do though is up by the Bahamas divers, that is in the area east by Food Deck.
Okay,
They
yeah.
probably give you more information on that.
So they know exactly
Yeah,
where.
yeah.
Oh,
I think you get
officer,
information from them.
you saved my life.
Hey, man,
Thank
don't worry
you.
about it, you know.
Okay. My last resort. Excuse me, sir. I'm looking
Yes,
for
sir.
Bahama divers.
Oh, you found it. It's right here.
You wouldn't happen to be Leroy, would you?
That's me, Leroy.
Leroy, how are you?
Nice.
I'm Angelo from the Outdoor Journal. I hope you can help me. I have been all over town. I'm looking for the lost blue hole. Now,
Oh.
they've sent me all over the place, but everything seems to point in this direction. Am I
Nobody
looking
seems
in
to
the
know
right-
where to send you but here, right?
Exactly.
Okay, good.
Can
good.
you tell me where it is?
Oh, yes, I could tell you, and I could also take you if you want to go out there.
You can take me there?
Yes, we could take you out there. We go out there 3 times a week.
The man knows where the lost blue hole is. I'm gonna hug you. If the camera wasn't on, I'd jump over to hug you. Great. How do I get out there?
Well, you could be here in the morning. We could sign you up. Be here for 8:30 in the morning, and we leave here, and we're going out.
I have to ask you the obvious question. Okay, it's called the lost blue hole. How come you know where it is?
I found it.
You found it. No kidding.
It's still lost to a lot of people. We found it.
Excellent. Well, I'm looking forward to getting out there. Let me go get some rest and sleep, and I'll
All
be
right.
here at 8:30 in the morning.
8:30 in the morning. All
You
right.
made my day, buddy.
Okay.
Thanks. See you then.
Thank
Take care.
you. All right.
Coming up on the Outdoor Journal, a diver's delight below the waves. And now, back to the Outdoor Journal. I'm here in Nassau in the Bahama Islands looking for the lost blue hole. That's it. Found the boat anyways. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Morning. How you doing?
I'm Angelo.
All right. Welcome aboard, Angelo.
Thank you. Leroy was nice enough to set me up with his lead hand, Roscoe. This guy knows all the great dive spots down here. I mean, on the surface, it just looks like water to me. But it's what's down there that counts. Now, before we actually go do the blue hole dive, the lost blue hole, my buddy Roscoe here is going to take us out for a little tune-up. Some reef diving, some wreck diving. What are we going to be doing?
Well, this morning we've sort of scheduled for you the De La Salle shipwreck, which is an old freighter. And I think we should be able to get a really good dive there to start us off.
How deep is that?
It's about 65, 70 feet.
Perfect.
Yeah, I think that's it. Looks like that's it right over there on shore.
I didn't see anything.
Hey, that's it?
found it. I can't count the number of times I've been diving. I get a rush of adrenaline every time I suit up. I think it's the anticipation of the unknown. Every dive is different, and these clear waters of the Bahamas has some of the finest underwater sights in the world. But no matter how many times I've been down there, and even if I'm returning to a wreck I've seen before, I still practice that unbreakable rule of diving. Always have a buddy. This is especially true if you're wreck diving. It's just too easy to get a hose tangle or a flipper caught. And there she be, the LaSalle wreck, 100 feet of decomposing metal. Even in daylight, there's always something a little eerie about wreck diving. In between the sound of your own bubbles, you can almost hear the stories. Tales of adventure and faraway places. One can imagine the crew walking up and down those decks. And you just can't help but wonder how the ship came to rest here before its time. But the ship is far from uninhabited. It's now home to hundreds of sea creatures. Just about every kind of reef fish the Caribbean has to offer dart in and out of the old hull. This one looks like something I had for dinner last night. The Bahamas are a wreck diver's dream. I don't think they even know how many wrecks are in these waters. There's the Mahoney wreck, dating back to the 1800s, the Miranda, the Grennan, the BJ, and the list goes on and on. Many of these wrecks are in shallow water, so there's no need for complicated and sometimes dangerous dives that require decompression. This wreck is reasonably fresh, so it isn't completely covered in coral. It's still easy to make out all of its features from the bridge to the winches. Ahoy, matey! Land ho! Actually, that's water ho. When you think of the Bahamas, it's hard not to think of Nassau. It's situated on the island of New Providence. This is by far the most populated and cosmopolitan of all the islands. Over 2/3 of the people live here. It's a perfect blend of the old and new. The history of the area dates back to the time of the first explorers of the New World. However, for those seeking the modern Paradise Island, it's just what the name implies. This island's been a home away from home for tourists since the 1900s. Paradise Island is considered to be one of the most sophisticated resort islands in the world. I am really psyched now for that lost blue hole. And now, back to the Outdoor Journal. We're in the crystal blue waters surrounding the Bahamas in search of the holy grail of blue holes, the lost blue hole. Well, actually, it's not lost anymore because I've been told the guys from Bahama Divers have found them. If you're thinking of diving down here in the Bahamas, I would definitely recommend a tour. First off, you'll never find half of these wrecks on your own. Plus, all of your equipment can be taken care of, from tanks, regulators, mask, fins, and even weight belts. There's literally thousands of blue holes here in the Bahamas, right?
Especially on Andrews, yeah. On Andrews, it's very famous for blue holes and stuff like that.
What makes this one really special? What's the reason for it?
I think this time of the year, we usually get a lot of small reef sharks. A lot of small reef sharks, a lot of big southern stingrays tend to harbor around this particular site. So I think it should be pretty nice.
Yeah, sounds great. Now it's 40 feet down.
Yeah.
The start of the hole.
About 40 feet.
And then how far in can we actually go?
Well, we're probably going to max out at about 80 feet.
Okay.
Okay.
So 40 from the top and then 40 into the hole?
Right.
Okay. It's one thing I've never done before is a blue hole dive. I've seen them from the surface and I've seen them on shore. There's a lot of blue holes right on the islands, isn't there?
Yeah, just
like right up on land.
Inland holes here.
But I've never gone in diving for them, and this is going to be different. I am looking forward to this.
All right.
This is going to be great. Me, Angelo, the first to explore the legendary and mysterious Lost Blue Hole. Well, maybe not the first. Well, maybe the first today. In reality, this is one of the more popular spots for diving in the Bahamas. It's ideal. Clear water and lots to see. Even before I got there, I was entertained by tons of fish in the coral heads that surround the hole. It's a regular who's who of fish. Sharks, lots of ever-present sergeant majors. There's an angelfish. And just under the sand, you can see a stingray. Plus, there's lots of other sights to see here in the Bahamas, like the Fish Hotel. It's home to thousands of schooling blue-striped and French grunts, yellow goatfish, and Bermuda chub. The locals say the fish check in and forget to check out. Oh, and don't worry, at the Fish Hotel, people are not on the dinner menu. Just a little further, and there it is. No mistake, it's big, it's blue, and no longer lost. Time to descend into the unknown. The origin of these holes is a mix of science, superstition, and myth. Legend has it that Lusca, a mythical creature, creates the boiling holes, as they are sometimes called. Science, however, would tell us that millions and millions of years of underwater erosion creates the holes, and that the boiling, or currents at the holes, is caused by the tides. Somehow, being down here, logic says tides, but I'm looking over my shoulder for Lusca just in case. Lots of caves line the hole. Some are just a few feet deep, but there are some caves in some blue holes that go on for hundreds and hundreds of feet. A guide is an absolute must. I'm absolutely amazed at the amount of sea life that you can find down here. There,
through the water. That's gotta be Neptune's ledge. What a magnificent sight. It's like sitting on the edge of the world in the great murky unknown just below.
Yeah, folks, believe it or not, those are all sharks out there, hundreds of them. And you know, I think if I look really closely, I can see Neptune's palace down there. Well, I may have found the lost blue hole, but there's still a lot about this place that'll always remain a mystery.